Drobo files for bankruptcy protection. Is your data still protected? Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much once again joining me for tea time. Today we have a little bit of fireside. You know, I love that smokiness of the Lapsang guys. I hope you're joining me with your cup of tea, maybe a cup of coffee, hanging out, talking tech, talking photo, talking video. Today is a combination of all three. There's a lot of creatives out there, photo and video, that use a company called Drobo for backing up their digital life, so to speak. And, well, as of this week, Drobo has filed for bankruptcy protection against their creditors because they just simply can't pay anymore. Drobo is a manufacturer of proprietary RAID array appliances, and they've been doing this for countless years. And like I said, photographers, videographers, creatives, a lot of people that create a ton of data every day, every week, every month need some type of server, some type of RAID array to store or house all of their data. And these type of backup solutions are a really great way to do it, especially when you have access to them anywhere on your network. And you can throw all of these drives into this appliance, and now they all aggregate into one, and now you have one place to be able to put all of your data. And it is secure. That is in major air quotes there. Well, Drobo did file this week for bankruptcy protection from their creditors because they simply can't make good on those loans. Like many other companies out there, the virus, the lockdowns, the logistical nightmares have just crushed their business and forced them into bankruptcy. Now, there's a lot of folks out there that absolutely love the way Drobo does RAID. Their proprietary means of doing RAID allows you to more easily add on storage into their units. And the problem is proprietary. What happens in 5 years or 10 years or 20 years down the road when the company's no longer in business and now you can't get your data back? Now, this also holds true with other RAID array appliance manufacturers. There's a lot out there. Even though their system seems to be more open source or more RAID proper and not proprietary, just the matter of using RAID in general can cause a problem and you can lose all of your data. I have in the past. I've had a RAID 5 setup and literally lost all of my data. And I'll get into that in just a second. But for now, we need to understand that your data is currently safe on your Drobo appliance, but in the not so distant future, maybe it won't be. When you can no longer get technical support, if they are just out of business, let's say, what do? There's no way to get that data off it. So my suggestion before I go any further with this video is start contemplating what you're going to use as an alternative to Drobo. There's a lot of others out there. There's a ton. I'm going to get into a couple of them, but there's one that I absolutely love, and I think that you're going to love it too. The way Drobo sells their appliances is standalone and NAS, or network attached storage. They're very similar devices. One has 5 drive bays and the other has 8 drive bays. One is standalone, one is NAS. Basically, one has a NIC in it. So these are the two different setups. You have a 5D3. Some of you guys actually have this one. This is very popular. The 5D3 is a 5-bay setup, whereas the 5N2 is also the same 5-bay setup, but with a NIC card in it. It's basically a NAS, or a network attached storage device, so that you can access your data anywhere on the network. Then the 8-bay is a B810i, which is their standalone, let's say, and the B810N is their network version of that 8-bay. These devices go from anywhere from $700 up to about $1,300, depends on which one you want to purchase, and those are bare bones. There's no drive in it. That's just for the appliance itself. It's just for those hot swappable bays. That is it. And the technology in them and their proprietary software. That's what you're getting for your, let's call it $1,000 on average. Now, there are alternatives out there, and some of you guys are probably using them, like QNAP or Synology or OWC, or possibly Buffalo or IBM, or Western Digital has some. There's a lot out there. The two main ones, of course, is Synology and QNAP. Now, the problem, once again, with all of these systems is they are RAID systems. Now, here's the twist. About a year and a half ago, I was researching RAIDs and how to back up my countless drives. And at that time, I had a RAID 5 system set up because I took all of my loose hard drives and stuck them into it, put all the data on it. Well, I ended up losing all of the data on the RAID 5 setup. Everything was lost. Luckily, I had those old drives, those backup drives, those standalone drives to be able to rebuild it. It took weeks and weeks and weeks, but I did. So doing all my research, I found that RAID inherently was the problem. Just the way it works. I ended up losing all of my data. Now, if you didn't know it, a RAID 5, for example, that a lot of people use, especially in these 5 drive bay enclosures that many of you have, the way it works is it has one drive as parity and the other 4 drives as data drives. And if one drive goes bad, you end up losing nothing. You stick a new drive into it, and then that new drive gets rebuilt over time, and everything is copacetic. Now, what happens if 2 drives are lost in that setup? Well, I'm glad you asked. Basically, total data loss. And folks are like, what are you talking about? I have a RAID. I have this RAID array. I can't lose data. I just have to replace it. No. The way it works is with a RAID 5 setup, one is parity. One of those drives is parity. The other 4 is data. If you lose one drive, you're okay. If you lose 2, all is lost. And this is exactly what ended up happening with me. Remember, when one drive goes bad, you have to get that initial alert. Maybe your system sends you an email, maybe it sends you a text, maybe it does nothing. It just pops up on a screen saying that there is a bad drive, or maybe it just blinks a light saying that this specific drive is bad. Whatever the case might be, you might miss it for a day, 2 days, 4 days, 5 days, however long. When you finally find out that one of the drives are bad, then you have to order a new drive, wait for that drive to come in, install the drive, and then allow another day or 2 for all of that data to be migrated onto that clean, bare bones drive so that the system is healed, so to speak. Well, during that period of time, if a second drive goes bad, like what happened to me, guess what? Like I said, full data loss, complete data loss. All 5 drives are rendered useless. You could just look at them as just like a rat's nest, a big ball, a heaping ball of just ones and zeros. With no order of semblance, you can't find anything. Everything is gone. The entire array is lost. So if you don't know how RAID works, let me just give you a quick synopsis. If you have RAID 0, so if you have 2 terabyte drives, you end up with 2 terabytes of data. And the data gets written across both drives, so it ends up being faster. That's how you get faster read-write speeds. Then if you have RAID 1, that is a mirror setup, whereas once again, you only have that terabyte, even though you have 2 in there. What it's doing is it's mirroring the data onto each. So if you write onto this one, it also writes onto that one at the same time. So if one goes bad, you still have one drive with data on it. Then you have RAID 2, RAID 3, RAID 4 that really don't get used very much. And then you have the big RAID 5 that a lot of people absolutely love. And that's what a lot of people use. That type of setup needs a minimum of 3 drives, 1 parity and 2 data drives. That's how it works. You can have 5, doesn't make a difference. You can have more, but you need at least 3. So 1 parity and 2 data. So if one of the drives crash, you still have that parity. You stick a brand new drive into it and it rebuilds itself. That's it. The problem with RAID 5 is, like I said, if 2 drives go bad, the entire thing is lost. It's over. Now, you also have RAID 6, where you end up with 2 parity drives. I'm not going to go any further than this, but just think of RAID 6 as a means of having 2 drives go bad instead of just 1 and still be able to recover. The majority of these setups use RAID 5, and you can only lose 1 drive. That's how they're set up. Now, I ended up building what is called an Unraid server. Now, there's not too much difference between RAID and Unraid. The main difference is the way it holds the data or the way it allows you to access your data. So if you have a 5-drive Unraid system, very similar to a 5-drive RAID system, well, you have your 1 parity and you have 4 data drives, right? Well, if you lose 1 hard drive on that Unraid system, well, no problem. Just like a RAID 5, you just reinstall a brand new hard drive in here, and now everything rebuilds, it heals itself, everything's great. If you lose 2 drives on that system, guess what? You lose 2 drives of data because that 1 parity drive cannot fix the 2 drives that are lost. So while you still lose 2 drives, you still have 3 drives of data that you can access. What does this mean? You could actually pull those 3 drives out of that system and then throw them into an enclosure, plug it directly into your PC, and access every single file on those 3 drives, period. You only lose what is lost at that point. Now, with Unraid, you can also do a 2 parity drive setup, and if you lose 2 drives, guess what? You still do not lose anything. You just replace the 2 drives, it rebuilds itself, and that is it. So you can also do that. But you see the difference here. There's no proprietary type of algorithm that encrypts your data that there's no way for you to be able to get it out. Raid does that. Raid has an algorithm that puts it across all the drives. You cannot get it off. There is no way to access your data on those individual drives when the entire RAID is dead based on 2 drives going bad, for example, with RAID 5. So this is the reason why I ended up going with Unraid. Also the cost. Instead of spending $700, $800, $1,000 or more on a appliance with all of these drive bays in it, I got a 10 or 12-year-old PC that was sitting in my garage, literally in the humidity for a decade, and pulled that in and installed a little hot swappable drive bay and a NIC card, and that was it. I think it's a Pentium Duo or something. It is ancient, literally ancient, and it's been running now for a year and a half with no hiccups. Just so you can get an idea of the simplicity of using Unraid. The other thing is with RAID setups, you have to use all similar drives. So if it's a 5 drive base setup from any of these companies, QNAP, Synology, whoever, you need 8 terabyte, 8 terabyte, 8 terabyte, whatever, 12 terabyte, 12, all the same drives. The beauty on Unraid is you don't. You could take any of your old drives and chuck it into the thing and it'll immediately aggregate all of them together. And now you have one big massive amount of storage. The only thing you have to keep in mind is your parity drive has to be bigger or equal to all the rest of the data drives. So if you have an 8 terabyte parity drive, well, all of your data drives need to be 8 terabytes maximum or less. So you can have an 8 terabyte, a 6 terabyte, a couple of 2 terabytes, some 1 terabytes, doesn't matter. Throw in the kitchen sink as long as it's not bigger than 8. If you need to use larger hard drives, then you need to switch out that parity drive for a larger parity drive. That is it. You can use any drives that you want. And I think that's awesome because we all have a ton of these bare bones drives laying around. Why let them just sit there? Use them. Stick them into your Unraid server and use them. Also, Unraid is infinitely expandable. So people will say, well, how much is Unraid? Is there a cost for it? Well, it's just software. It's Unix. It's Linux. So the software costs $59 for up to 6 hard drives. It is $89 if you want 12 hard drives, $89, guys. Or if you want an infinite amount of hard drives, you can literally put 100 together in a RAID array or in Unraid array. It's $129. That is it. You throw the software onto that PC, it boots up, and I actually teach you exactly how to do it in this book. Not only the parts that you need to build it, basic parts, but also how to do the install. Step by step, I hand walk you through it. It is super, super, super simple. And when you're done, like me, you end up with a solution that just simply works. You could just throw hard drives at it ad hoc. It doesn't matter. Whenever you need more data storage in your array, you just put in another hard drive. That's it. Very, very simple. Very simple. So anyways, guys, I hope you've gotten some information from this video. If you have, please throw the video a thumbs up. Also, if you want to pick up this book, you can find it on Amazon in digital form or in a physical form. If you want to get it from me, you can go to JCristina.com shop. I think it's jcristina.com/shop, or just go to jcristina.com. You'll find that over there. While I highly recommend Unraid, if you're a Drobo user as of today, I would say you really should start researching other means of storing your data if you do not want to use an Unraid server like what I did. Look at Synology, look at QNAP, and all the rest of them. But I would really look into figuring out where you can put your data in the not so distant future and leave that Drobo as a backup to your backup. Because bear in mind, folks, people think that a RAID array is a backup, and it is not. It is live data for you to work with. all right? It is not a backup. You still need some type of backup of that array. You could have 2 arrays as a backup, and that's what you can do with a Drobo that just sits there. And if it dies, that's okay. Only the backups are dying. And then you can get another backup to back up your RAID array. So I hope you've gotten something from this video. If you have, please throw it a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel and click this little bell icon over here so when I go live or when a new video comes out, you'll be notified of it immediately. And if you would just simply like to say thank you, I have a thank you button down here now. You can click on that, or even better, become a member of the channel. That would be awesome. Would love to have you here. Anyways, head over to my website, JCristina.com, where you can find all the photography tools that I've invented for you over the many years. And hopefully there's something there that you might like. And if there is, please pick it up and support me and my family. You can also pick up my book over there. Check it out. How to create a digital Fort Knox, backing up your digital life. That's it, guys. I'm out of here for yet another vlog. Many blessings to you and your family. Stay safe, stay healthy, and we'll see you in the next one. Love you all. Protect your data.